I'm back with another interview again, Lucas from Livewire once again, and I've got Scooter Ward here from Cold. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, very early morning here for me, so I'm not normally up until a bit later. It's all
Yeah, I
good.
feel you.
Listen, I couldn't pass this interview up. I just wanted to say, like, I've been a massive fan of this band ever since 2003. Year of the Spider was one album that floated consistently through my Discman back in high school with stuff like Meteora and Chocolate Starfish and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, really cool opportunity to kind of have this time to have a chat with you and ask some questions and go through some stuff. So, appreciate the time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on the show.
All good. Now, genesis of the band for me has always been super interesting. Before Cold became Cold, it took about 10 years to get there. Um, Now that it's going to be coming up to your first ever Australian tour, after about 40 years in the industry and trying to make it, how does it feel to finally have the chance to come?
We've always wanted to be there. Like we were able, I think in the late 90s, the 1900s, and early 2000s, we were able to go to Europe and UK and play everywhere over there. And we were kind of slated to come to Australia to play a couple of things. And something always came up, like a festival, like a festival tour kind of thing would come up, and we would have to do that instead because it just made more sense. And it was always one of those things. So we're really happy to be able to come over there for just a few days. I mean, I wish we had more time there. It would be amazing. But hey, 3 shows, it's a nice weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, like this has been 20 years in the making for me to finally be have a chance to see you guys. So really stoked again. You're gonna guys are gonna be coming out and giving us some music. So yeah, love it.
Yeah, yeah. And we're playing the Year of the Spider. So,
Yeah, which I think is my favorite album, and I think it's probably a lot of people's favorite album. But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of that album as well, with it being now the 21st anniversary of that album, technically, you're coming out and obviously doing that anniversary tour. But not only that, Orgy are also going to be co-headlining the show doing Candy Arts. Did the decision to make this a Year of the Spider tour for Australia kind of just come naturally, or was that something where you were like, you know, or you're going to do Candy Arts, we may as well do our record, or like what was the thought process there?
I mean, that was kind of it. There wasn't a huge thought process going into it. We did, the Year of the Spider tour here in the States, and it was really successful. And so after that, we had taken a break and we were gearing up to do another run. And then Orgy had contacted us and wanted to do a co-headline tour here in the States. They had Candy Ass. They were doing a 25-year anniversary for that, I think.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, we just joined up and went back out and did that with them. And that was another successful run. And I know that we had got contacted, or a booking agent had talked to us about coming to Australia. And I was like, we have to make this happen. I don't care what's going on, but we need to be there. And it was only 3 shows, and I wish it was more, but yeah. So with Orgy doing the Candy Ass anniversary there, we knew Year of the Spider was probably the biggest record over there as well, and it was such a great reception with doing that album. So the only thing that sucks is I need to get with Jay and see how long their set's going to be exactly, because granted, we do want to play Year of the Spider in its entirety. However, it's our first time over in Australia. We got some 13 Ways songs and things like that. So I'm kind of wanting to mix it up. I mean, we still need to play that record, but I want everybody to get a feel of all the things Cold, you know?
for sure. And that was actually like a question I was going to have later. And like that was going to be my last question, was asking, can we expect anything off 13 Ways or Different Kind of Pain or something like that?
Hell
But
yeah.
me personally, I really want to hear that Run cover by Snow Patrol
Yeah,
live.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that was such a kind of out of left field thing. Like when that album dropped, that was on there, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I wasn't expecting one, a cover, but secondly, yeah, like the original of that is so good. You guys just did it just as well, in my opinion.
yeah, it's covers are a weird thing with us. I think that the couple that we've tried throughout our career, we did a Space Oddity one from Bowie when we were starting out, and then this one. And I know that doing different variations of a cover, artists try to do that to step outside the box and create a newer song for that. But that song was so important to me. Is it, I had a relationship with that song and having to leave my kids when I was going on tour, and it always just helped me or hurt me or both, so
Yeah.
when we were doing the Things We Can't Stop, I don't know, that song just came on and I was like, I've always had a really good relationship with that song. And when Cole does something, we really have to be attached to it, for me to feel it and just to create it and all the things. And that was one of those songs that I wish I'd always written. And
Yeah.
so it just made sense to do it. And we wanted to do it exactly the way they did it, but with our vibe on it a little bit. So, but yeah, I was proud of the way that song came out, and I loved playing that song and all that. So yeah, we might sneak that into the set.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Um, so going back, I guess, into kind of my history with the band. So I can actually remember the first time I heard you guys, and out of all the weirdest places it could have been, you guys had Remedy be the intro track for a WWE pay per view back in like 2003.
Yeah, it was that.
How did that come?
That
How
was
did
a
that come
big
about?
deal. Well, it happened. Remedy, I think with the label we were on, it was just they were intertwined with WWE stuff or our management company. It was one of the two, and they got us on They got Remedy on one of the WWE uh,
Pay per views.
yeah, the thing. And then all of a sudden, we got a call we did a song called Gone Away, which I'd written for my daughter, my oldest, and they wanted to use that. They had the show on MTV, and it was basically like
Tough enough.
real, yeah, Tough Enough. It was Tough
Yeah.
Enough. It was basically like Real World for Young Wrestlers. So they used that song as a soundtrack for that. Like every, at the beginning or the end, it was always on. And that created a thing. And crazy thing about it is we were like, we would be on tour and all these wrestlers would start showing up at our shows, and they would just
Cool.
be we just walk back in our green room, and we had 6, huge wrestlers at the time sitting in our green room, just hanging out. And it was cool. I wasn't a huge wrestling fan. However, after meeting these people, they were just so kind and awesome. And, it was cool to have them around and that happened for about a year or two. They were just always at our things and kind of affiliated with us. So it was pretty dope.
That's really cool. I never kind of put the association too of like, sure, your guys' music is used to promote their shows, but never really thought about it. Kind of might go the other way, where like the wrestlers might be, oh, this band's really cool, so let's go check them out or whatever. And yeah, I never thought
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. And I think that's probably what, they probably watched that show because I was a part of their life. So they were like, they kept hearing it. And, when you hear things enough, you either like it or you don't. So I'm thankful that a lot of them connected with it.
For sure. Now, speaking of Gone Away, for those that know, Gone Away is kind of like a hidden track on
Yeah.
Year of the Spider. Can we expect that as part of the set as well, or is it just going to be the 13 up to kill the industry?
Yeah, no, we definitely. I mean, yeah, no, I guess I don't need to keep any surprises, but yeah, we definitely play "Gone Away" on the Year of the Spider. We want to play every song that's on that album, hidden or not.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, now, obviously, with the tour having happened last year for Year of the Spider, was there any songs in particular that you went back to that you might not have played for a while and kind of taken a deeper appreciation for?
I mean, there was a few for sure. I'm trying to think. And Whatever You Became, and Rain Song, we did a different variation of it on stage where it was more emotional. Like when I first wrote that song, it was basically a piano song that lifted into this big crescendo ending. And so right before that tour, we had tried that out at a few shows, and it was just really emotional and a big thing. So we, yeah, so those kinds of songs. And I think we might do the piano rendition of Rain Song as well when we come there. It's just a beautiful moment, and it's pretty cool, man. Everybody here, because we played many times, everybody sings all the songs with us and stuff, and sometimes it even gets louder than me singing. I'm like, okay, so it's cool. So hopefully we get there and everybody joins in and we have a great night.
Yeah, apologies if you see me on the barrier being incredibly obnoxious, singing every word maybe louder than you, because like again, like that
Yeah,
album has been so fundamental to my development as someone who's kind of like enjoyed music over the course of the last 30 years. There's a lot of songs on that album that I just adore. You know, the day Seattle died. That's I
yeah,
think
the
that's what
Day
it's called,
Seattle.
right?
Yeah,
That's an incredible song with
thank you.
its meanings and stuff behind it.
Yeah,
Remedy as well. Remedy is one is like my pump up song.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be real fun. Um, Now the last question I've got for you, because we've basically blown through all these questions. Stupid Girl obviously is probably the biggest song off that record by a mile.
Yeah.
But the thing that's always interested me is that song had a really interesting co-writer.
Yeah, Rivers Cuomo from Weezer was the
How did
guy that
that come
joined.
about?
I think it was one of his first things that he did. And I don't want to say that for sure, but it seems like it was. He started doing a lot of things after that with other artists. Um, I was having a issue with that song because it sounded like the music that was created for it that we created was a little different vibe than what we normally do. So for me, when I write or hear the music, the lyrics just flow to me. It's very easy. And for some reason, that song, I just couldn't get it. And I was about to scrap it. And we had a party at the house in Los Angeles when we were recording in Rivers. There was a bunch of musicians that came, and Rivers was one of them that came to hang out. And we talked about doing a song. You know, I said, dude, I have this song that reminds me of a Weezer-ish riff, because I was a huge fan of Weezer when I was young. And I remember he heard it, and I think our A&R person called back. He said, yeah, he said it's like Weezer on acid or something. It's a little, he goes, but he's down with doing it. So he had sent me some stuff, and we'd worked on it, and then as soon as it was completed, we weren't sure if it was going to be what it needed to be. And it was really not a typical Cold song, because typical Cold songs are very emotional and they have all these things. And there's the narrative is very it's either vague and you can get anything you want out of it and maybe help your life, or it's very matter of fact.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell, right? So with that song, I just didn't know what to do. So, but it ended up being a fun song. And then people, as soon as the A&R person and the owner of the label heard it, we knew. I was like, oh, there you go. They're gonna choose that to be the one to go with. And they did, and that was good. And that was great. It did open up a lot of doors for us. We started getting all late night TV shows and all kinds of things. But I don't know if you guys have heard of over there, but we're retiring that song after the Australia run.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna be at the Brisbane show, and Brisbane is the last date of that tour. So I'm gonna hear
Yeah,
that for the last time. Is basically what you're
that'd
saying.
be the last time. Yeah, we kind of retired it here, but then when the Australian came, the after year of the Spider tour, because it was a song that, the reason for the retirement is just, I feel the song has done what it needed to do. And if I need to, when I'm on stage, I connect so heavily with all the other things that it's kind of hard for me to pull that song off. However, we do it well, and it works. The crowd sings and everybody has fun. But so I was like, I had Under Oath and a few other bands I'd heard of retiring songs. I go, I didn't even know that was a thing. I go, I kind of feel it. I kind of understand why they do these things. So I feel like that song it's had its place. It was for a certain time, and it did what it needed to do at that time, and still to this day. And there's some punk rock about, not playing the song that's the number one most streamed and stuff like that. I was like, I'm gonna do that. We don't have to cater to anybody anymore, labels and things like that. So it's kind of nice. Yeah. So but then Australia came up. So I was like, okay, well, if we're doing Year of the Spider its entirety, we can't really fully retire it until after those 3 shows. So yeah, you'll be at the last time, the last show, last time that song's ever played.
Yeah, wow. That's
Yeah,
yeah. That's I mean that's cool. That's going to be a really cool moment. So,
yeah,
but no. Well, I can't wait for the tour. Again, like I said, 20 years in the making for me personally. Probably, obviously, very longer for you.
yeah.
That tour with Orgy does kick off in Melbourne in October on the 25th. Follows on to Sydney and then finally Brisbane, where if you make it to the Brisbane show, you get to hear Stupid Girl for the last time ever played.
Yes,
Thanks so
sir.
much, Scooter, for thanks so much for just coming in and chatting. I do appreciate it. It's been a blast.
Hey, man, dude, thanks for being a fan for all the years, and I really appreciate it. And can't wait to meet you. You got to come up and say hello.
I will definitely endeavor to. I think where you guys are playing, there's like a little thing on the outside where you can kind of come out and hang out. So if you come out for a
Yeah,
beer, I'll buy you a beer.
we always do that anyways. And Orgy as well. Like on the last tour, both the kind of bands who really, appreciate our fans and all the years and stuff. So we make ourselves available for all of that. And, so
Oh
we'll
yeah.
definitely see you. But thank you.